Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a look at a really weird deck over in Japan. You see, I told you a little while ago, when the Freebirds Tag Team GX came out, I told you super clearly that it's a really interesting card. But because of the ridiculously awkward attack cost, I don't think it's ever going to be particularly good, and I told you that I thought it was going to be one of the worst Tag Team GXs we've got, although I did contend that Marshadow and Matchup would still probably end up being worse. Well, it seems like a whole bunch of people over in Japan have essentially taken me up on my challenge, because I've already shown you one winning deck with this, and oh my goodness, someone has just gone and made another winning deck. And it's almost ridiculous in how convolutedly brilliant it is. So it all revolves around Miss Magius and Buzzwole and Pheromosa. Yeah, I know, this one's going to take a little bit of explaining. So, Miss Magius allows you to essentially KO it. But if you KO it, you get to draw until you've got 7 cards in your hand. Okay, fair enough. But how's that going to work? Well, the thing is, you play B-String. And B-String is a fairly phenomenal card, whereby if your opponent has exactly 3 or 4 prizes remaining, you get to search your deck for 2 basic energy and attach them to one of your Ultra Beasts. Which incidentally is where Pheromosa and Buzzwole comes in, because Zapdos, Articuno and Moltres is not an Ultra Beast. Okay, so you use Miss Magius to deliberately give up 2 prizes so that you can use B-String, and the great thing here is that because you're using Miss Magius, you're going to be drawing a whole bunch of cards, which means not only can you use B-String, but you are likely to be able to have drawn into your B-String by virtue of the fact that you've been drawing a bunch of cards. Okay, now we're rolling, ladies and gentlemen. This sounds like fun. But who cares? Because, great, you've got a whole bunch of energy onto your Pheromosa and Buzzwole, but now you need to get that energy onto the Freebirds. And this is where we get the last part of the combo. It's Tag Switch. Now, Tag Switch allows you to switch 2 energy from one of your Tag Team Pokemon to another Pokemon. And this seems convoluted. So what you do is you KO Miss Magius to activate B-String. You play B-String to put the energy on Pheromosa and Buzzwole, and then you use Tag Switch to move the energy from Pheromosa and Buzzwole onto Articuno and Zapdos. But remember, you're likely to have Tag Switch and B-String in hand because you're using Miss Magius to draw a whole bunch of cards. Although you do have to keep lowering your hand size, so there's going to come a point where it's going to be a bit awkward. But then again, if you've got 2 B-String and 2 Tag Switch in hand, maybe just KO a Miss Magius to get the combo rolling. You've drawn what you need to draw. So this is convoluted and awkward, and oh my goodness, we're going to need some cool stuff to make this worth it. Well, the great news is we've got some cool stuff to make it worth it, because the attacks on the Freebirds Tag Team GX are great. It's just the energy cost which sucks. So 1 fire, 1 water, 1 lightning, 1 colorless energy, 210 damage. That's pretty sweet. Now, it will pretty much get any GX, especially when you add a choice band. And then with a choice band, you are getting stuff like Pikachu and Zekrom, but you're not getting stuff like Reshiram and Charizard. So, not perfect, but you got 300 HP and you do a whole heap of damage. You know, something like Reshiram and Charizard, they're just not getting a one-hit KO. Now, to be fair, Reshiram and Charizard can with their GX attack, but that's all. After that, they ain't one-hit KOing you. And then you've got your GX attack. Shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck. If this Pokemon has an additional fire, water, and lightning energy, i.e. the cost of the first attack, attached to it, you do 110 to 3 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So maybe you just KO 3 bench Pokemon and take 3 prizes, or maybe you just drop damage onto a couple of Tag Team GXs so that then your 210 will get a KO, and then it's just 2 attacks and you win. Bearing in mind, you've got 300 HP, and Magikarp and Wailord's got 300 HP, but the thing about Magikarp and Wailord is, it's not got giant attacks that's going to get a whole bunch of KOs. This does. If you can get the energy on, and if you can get this working, it's pretty phenomenal. And remember, KOing 2 Mismagius doesn't matter as long as you make sure you've only got Tag Team GXs on the field. Because you give up 2 prizes, your opponent's got to take 4 to win, they take out a Tag Team GX, they've got 1 prize to take to win, who cares? You've only got Tag Team GXs on the field, they might only need to take 1 prize to win, but they're going to have to KO a Tag Team GX to do it. Now, the thing is, Buzzwole and Pheromosa is also a viable attacker here. In the early game, 1 energy, 30 to the active, 30 to the bench is fine. 3 energy, 190, it will take out some GXs. But you've also got the GX attack here. 1 grass energy, 50 damage. If you take a KO, take an extra prize. That in and of itself is good. But if you've got 8 energy on and it's 1 grass and any other 7, and you take a KO, you take 3 extra prizes. And that is ridiculous. And because you're playing B-String here and you've got Tag Switch, this is actually genuinely, potentially, legitimately viable. And that's a little bit ridiculous. It's not going to be the kind of thing you're dropping like candy every game, but it is something that you can have a play with, and that alone makes it exciting. Now, they are the only Pokemon in the deck, because, come on, what more do you need, ladies and gentlemen? What more do you need? In terms of energy, we got 3 fire, 2 water, 3 lightning, and 3 grass. Well, yeah, we're playing a mixture here. We need a whole bunch of different energy. Now, it is kind of interesting here, of course, because we don't actually need grass for the 3 birds. But we do need grass for the Buzzwole and Pheromosa, if you're going to be attacking with that. And there is a colourless energy in the 3 birds attack cost, so, you know, we'll be alright. Now, in terms of the trainer line here, really the goal is to get this working. And one of the amazing things we've got here right off the bat is Duskstone. Because you see, Duskstone is a very important card. It lets you evolve Mismagius straight away. On the first turn of the game, or the same turn you play it down, and you get to search and evolve. It's not just allowing you to evolve, it's also helping you to get the Mismagius, so we kind of need to play these in order to get our Mismagius rolling. We also play 1 switch and 1 escape rope. They're pretty important because you need to make sure you've got the right Pokemon in the active. Your Tag Team GXs have fairly high retreat costs here, so fair to assume this is somewhat important. We play 4 B-String and 4 Tag Switch. I don't need to go into detail about these because I've explained they are absolutely integral to the combo. You need to be getting these as often as you can, especially in the early game. But the other thing to remember is, even when B-String isn't viable anymore, Tag Switch is. And remember I told you about the Freebirds GX attack, whereby you shuffle it and all cards attached to it into your deck. So you can essentially use Tag Switch to get the energy off, and then shuffle it into your deck, completely healing it, and then whacking up a fresh one. That's a kind of cool thing to do. We've got 4 Nest Ball and a single Ultra Ball. Now, the thing is here, Nest Ball gets all of your Pokemon, other than Mismagius, which is searched out with Duskstone, but you're only allowed to play 4 of them, so we whack one of these in there as well. We got 4 Pokegear 3.0 to help us find our supporters. As a side note here, Pokegear 3.0 is seeing a huge amount of play over in Japan already. This is a staple in a lot of decks. Make sure you've got a playset, it's phenomenal. And then we've got a kind of convoluted supporter line. We've got many supporters here. We've got 3 Greens Exploration. Well, of course we do. The only Pokemon you're playing with an ability is Mismagius, who you're then immediately KOing, so this lets you search for any 2 trainer cards. Well, that's great. You draw into it when you KO Mismagius, and then you can use it to search for your B-String and your Tag Switch. That's great. We got 1 copy of Volkner, gets you a basic Lightning Energy, and it gets you an item card. So again, basic Lightning and a B-String, or a basic Lightning and a Tag Switch. That's pretty gosh darn nice. We've got 4 copies of Bill's Analysis here, and I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but this lets you look at the top 7 cards of your deck and find 2 trainer cards. The entirety of this deck is built around the Tag Switch and B-String combo, although please don't sleep on the need for Duskstone in the early game. So yeah, those item cards are super important. We need to make sure we can grab them. 1 copy of Ace Roller, because you're playing Tag Team GXs, they're huge and they give up free prizes. They're not likely to be 1-hit KO'd, but if they're 2-hit KO'd, you're giving up free prizes. 1 of these is fairly standard. And then we got 2 copies of Guzma to either drag a Pokemon off the bench or switch, or both. And then we've got 2 copies of Lieutenant Surge's strategy. It lets you play 2 supporter cards in 1 turn. Well, you've got a lot of good supporter cards here you want to be playing, so being able to play 2 of them with Lieutenant Surge's strategy is huge. Imagine being able to use Lieutenant Surge's strategy and then playing 2 Green's Exploration so that you can then play 2 B-String and 2 Tag Switch at the perfect turn. Yeah, this is where we're going with this. And hopefully, by using all your Mismagius, you can actually maneuver to a hand with 1 Lieutenant Surge and 2 Green's Exploration. And then in terms of Stadium, we've got 1 Power Plant. It's there to stop your opponent taking advantage of abilities on EX and GX Pokemon. It's kind of fun. And then we've got 2 copies of Viridian Forest. It lets you search out your basic energy. And basic energy is pretty gosh darned important here, because you're playing so many different types, you need to make sure you got the right one. This helps you search it. This is an incredibly fun deck, and it's very combo reliant, so maybe in bigger tournaments and maybe in the long run it's not quite going to work out as well as we'd like, but you cannot tell me you don't want to have a play with this deck. It's kind of making the free birds potentially viable, and I love that. But I want to know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice, and then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.